Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kelsey Kiesling.
And I'm Kendra Cook. Dolores County Broadcasting Network is the producer of DCTV, and the Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news show.
If you have a news topic or tips you'd like to see covered, give us a call. The studio number is 677-4119.
Today's show runs at Wednesday at noon and is rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. and again re-aired on Saturday at noon, 3 and 6. Today is October 25th, 2017, and now the news at noon.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, a district court judge on Tuesday found probable cause to support 10 charges against a Texas man suspected of shooting and killing a Durango man during a marijuana robbery. Michael Jones, age 20, is charged with first-degree murder, robbery, conspiracy to commit robbery, menacing, tampering with evidence, and possession of a weapon by a previous offender. Jones, along with two co-defendants, Kevin Goff, age 27, and Elise Rios, age 20, are suspected of traveling from Texas to Durango with intent to rob someone of a large quantity of marijuana, according to law enforcement and court proceedings. The trio made several attempts to buy marijuana on May 13th, but were unsuccessful. The next day, they arranged to buy marijuana from someone at unit number 36 in the Lightner Creek Mobile Home Park. Jones is suspected of pulling a gun while Goff grabbed the marijuana. Rios waited outside in a black Chevy Impala with the engine running to serve as a getaway driver. When Jones pulled the gun, David Gayton, age 34, lunged toward him, and Jones shot Gayton in the chest, according to arrest affidavits. The trio made a getaway, but not before neighbors and witnesses obtained a vehicle description. The Colorado State Patrol found a vehicle matching the description about 10 hours later in Chaffee County, which includes Salida, about 200 miles northeast of Durango. All three were arrested in connection with the shooting. La Plata County Sheriff's investigator Tad McNeely testified Tuesday about text messages that were sent prior to the suspects coming to Durango, which suggested they planned ahead of time to steal marijuana rather than purchase it legally.
The Journal in Cortez reported that when Montezuma County Commissioners approved public roads at a Summit Lake West subdivision for access to the Bureau of Land Management land, it put an unfair maintenance burden on residents, according to a lawsuit now filed by a resident. Cheryl McMillan is asking the court to rule that the county and the BLM assume full maintenance responsibilities on county roads 35.6, 35.9, 36.3, and N, including winter plowing. The handwritten lawsuit encapsulates neighborhood concerns about the impacts of increased traffic on the undeveloped narrow dirt roads and the additional expense expected to keep them passable for residents. Since the inception of these roads, residents took responsibility. Now the county claims ownership and is inviting added heavy traffic and intends to burden residents with cost and labor of maintenance, she writes in the complaint, filed September 28th in district court. She is filed the complaint pro se without an attorney. This summer, the County Commission, along with the BLM, began negotiations to open up access to an isolated parcel of BLM land south of Summit Lake. They said the short section of Road N that parallels the BLM boundary could make a new access point. After several public meetings, the Commission voted September 16th to change roads 35.6, .9, .36.6, and N from private red-signed roads to public green-signed roads, making them officially under county jurisdiction. They cited the subdivision plat that states the roads are open to the public for the change, and also felt the change would improve access to public lands. The BLM has considered putting a public access gate and small parking lot off Road N for public access, but when that would happen is unclear. There would be no trail building, the BLM said, and use would be non-motorized, with an emphasis on hiking and horseback riding. Under county road policy, the Summit Lake West roads now have a, quote, graded green sign status, which limits maintenance by county staff to grading at least once per year and no snow plowing. The green road status also allows residents to obtain free gravel from the county, but residents are responsible for hauling and spreading. That is insufficient, according to McMillan's lawsuit. She said that for decades, residents have spent tens of thousands of dollars to keep the roads passable for their use, especially a challenge in winter. Increased traffic to public lands will cause deterioration beyond the financial means of the neighborhood to repair, McMillan states. And parking by public land visitors on narrow roads will block access and cause trespass issues. She added that increased traffic and insufficient maintenance will combine to create poor road conditions and increased traffic accidents, which will impede emergency vehicles from accessing the neighborhood.
Reported by the Durango Herald, Democrats and Republicans agreed Tuesday to a disaster aid package for hurricane relief that also contained $576.5 million for federal wildfire suppression programs. More than 1 million acres have burned in California this year, and with other fires in several states, including Montana, the United States Forest Service budget has been stretched thin. The agency was forced to borrow money from other parts of its budget, a practice known as fire borrowing, to keep up with costs of this summer. The money appropriated Tuesday will be used to make up for the borrowed money. The bill passed with broad support on both sides, including Colorado Senators Cory Gardner and Michael Bennet. However, both said in written statements that there needs to be work beyond the short-term appropriations that continue to move through Congress. Bennet also disapproves of fire borrowing and said a long-term fix is overdue. Most of the money will go to the U.S. Forest Service, which handles the National Forest System, and about $50 million will be allocated to the Interior Department, which covers national parks, wildlife refuges, and Native American reservations. The wildfire suppression funds are part of a larger package that includes $18.7 billion for the Federal Emergency Management Agency to respond to hurricane damage in Florida, Texas, and Puerto Rico, as well as $1.2 billion specifically for nutrition assistance in poor areas of Puerto Rico hit hard by Hurricane Maria. The allocation also includes a $16 billion increase to the borrowing limit of the National Flood Insurance Program. In his statement, Gardner also wrote that he is pleased to see more funding for the continued recovery efforts in Puerto Rico.
From the Durango Herald, the National Park Service is floating a steep increase in entrance fees at 17 of its most popular parks, mostly in the West, to address a backlog of maintenance and infrastructure projects. Visitors to the Grand Canyon, Yosemite, Yellowstone, Zion, and other national parks would be charged $70 per vehicle, up from the current fee of just $30 for a weekly pass. At others, the hike is nearly triple, from $25 to $70. A 30-day public comment period opened yesterday, Tuesday. Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke says the entrance fee increases will help restore and renovate the park units. Quote, "We need to have a vision to look at the future of our parks and take action in order to ensure that our grandkids will have the same, if not better, experience than we have today," he said in a statement. Shoring up our parks' aging infrastructure will do that. The proposal comes not long after many of the parks that charge entrance fees already upped them. This rationale is the same this time around, to address a backlog of maintenance and infrastructure projects. The Park Service estimated deferred maintenance across its site at $11.3 billion as of September 2016, down from $11.9 billion in 2015. The Park Service says it expects to raise $70 million a year with the latest proposal at a time when national parks repeatedly have been breaking visitation records and putting a strain on park resources. For example, nearly 6 million people visited the Grand Canyon just last year. The higher fees would apply during the 5 busiest contiguous months. For most, that means May through September, when many families are on vacation. Kevin Dahl, Arizona's Senior Program Manager for the National Parks Conservation Association, said maintenance costs should fall to Congress, not visitors. "We've supported increases at the parks. They are a huge value for the price of entrance," he said, "but we want to look closely at this, and we want local communities to look closely at this to see if it would impact visitation, because we don't want to price people out of the parks." Not all Park Service sites charge entrance fees. The 118 that do keep 80% of revenue and send 20% into a pot to help all park units. The entrance fee proposal applies to Arches, Bryce Canyon, Canyonlands, and Zion in Utah, Yosemite, Sequoia, Kings Canyon, and Joshua Tree in California, Grand Teton and Yellowstone in Wyoming, Mount Rainier and Olympic in Washington, Shenandoah in Virginia, Arcadia in Maine, Rocky Mountain in Colorado, and the Grand Canyon in Arizona. Fees also would go up for pedestrians and motorcyclists. Annual passes for federal lands would be unchanged at $80.
According to the Durango Herald, Colorado Parks and Wildlife encourages state residents to learn and raise awareness about bat conservation during National Bat Week, observed October 24th through 31st. Bat Week, held during the last days of October each year, is a celebration of bats and their role in nature, organized by representatives from conservation groups and government agencies in the United States and Canada. According to the U.S. Geological Survey of the Department of the Interior, white nose syndrome is an emergent fungal disease responsible for the deaths of millions of hibernating insect-eating bats. That has spread at an alarming rate from the northeastern to central United States. From winter 2007 to fall 2017, bats in 31 states and 5 Canadian provinces have died from the disease. Bats also face threats from wind energy development and habitat loss. To monitor the health of resident bats, Colorado will participate in the North American Bat Monitoring Program, which allows biologists to compile baseline data on bats that live or migrate through the state. By way of acoustic detectors, CPW uses passive integrated responder tags and monitors bat behavior at known roost sites to set a baseline and observe trends in bat population, density, range, and location. Bat conservation is important to the species' survival and the human ecosystem. For instance, a healthy bat population can be effective to control insect pests. Though they are known to feed on mosquitoes, bats also consume agricultural pests that threaten crops and plants. Colorado is host to 18 species of bats, which includes 13 species that hibernate. Hibernation usually begins in November and continues through March depending on the weather. People should also be aware that bats tend to leave hibernation during that time frame for brief periods. If unusual behavior is seen, the public should contact CPW. And now, let's take a look at our weather report.
For our region, more beautiful fall weather continues today. Warmer today by a few degrees. It will become a bit cooler with northern mountain snow potential for Thursday. Dry and mild weather continues as high pressure builds over the Great Basin as a cold front moves through northern Utah and western Colorado. That chance for mountain snow will arrive Thursday morning through the night. Perhaps an inch or two of snow may occur on Vail Pass by Friday morning. Not much of any precipitation will occur west of the Rockies. Little if any rain will be recorded in the lower elevations to our north. As I mentioned, those clouds start increasing tonight and early Thursday as a system dropping out of southern Canada tracks across Wyoming and across our northern zones. With that front, the winds will shift to the northwest and north by midday Thursday. This cold air should bring seasonal temperatures a bit below the norm in southwest Colorado for the week's end. Our longer-term outlook is indicating much cooler temperatures 5 to 10 degrees below normal for next week, with the chance for precipitation Monday evening or into Tuesday, not yet determined by the forecasters, but that's the next indication of any type of weather change. So for now, enjoy the regional dry fall weather. Nationally, you can see the clear, dry, high pressure over most of the western states and southwest into Texas. Up into the northwestern states, the low pressure ridge is just north into Canada, where it brings chances of rain and snow into Montana and surrounding states. That low dropping into the upper Midwest may bring snow near the Great Lakes as the East Coast deals with thunderstorms and rains pushing east directly into the vertical low pressure ridge into the Atlantic. The National Weather Service is showing our local 5-day forecast to be a high of 64 today, low of 38 tonight, with those light southwest winds 5 to 10 miles an hour. Then, with that system pressing down from the north, winds will pick up Thursday, becoming northwest winds 15 to 20 miles an hour in the morning and gusty afternoon winds up to 35 miles an hour. Evening winds continue in the 10 to 15 mile an hour range with 30 mile per hour gusts likely. Thursday will, however, be sunny skies with a high of 63 and a low of 31 and mostly clear. So if you're headed to the Halloween Carnival in Dove Creek Thursday evening, be sure to keep the kiddos bundled up even if they don't like it ruining their costumes. Then the temperatures chill back a bit on Friday with a high of 53 expected, a low 29. Saturday high 56, low 32 with a warming trend. Sunday high of 61, low 33. And again, Monday turning partly cloudy again with a high in the lower 60s and into the middle 30s overnight. For me, it's time to get that woodshed filled up and clean the items up around the house. A reminder that the daylight savings change time is coming up on November 5th. So we have over a week to go with those later sunrises in the morning. Currently, the sunrise was at 7:34 a.m. and sets tonight at 6:25 p.m. And now, back to the news.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, if you were in the Grand Canyon in 1980 to 81, you might have seen a strange sight. Wild burros being lifted out by helicopter or floating by on rafts. Mark Applequist of Cortez was part of the volunteer crew that transported the burros on rafts, and he shared the story during a slideshow at the Dolores Public Library recently. The National Park Service had long wanted to get rid of the growing burro population in the Grand Canyon because they competed with native wildlife for grazing lands. Burros are a small type of donkey. They served as beasts of burden during the mining days before the area became a national park in 1919. By 1980, they had multiplied to 600 strong. Fund for Animals put up $500,000 to help the Park Service relocate the animals and put them up for adoption rather than having them slaughtered. Most were hoisted out one at a time by helicopter, but as part of a publicity stunt, the Park Service also decided to transport some of the burros out of the canyon by raft, Appelquist said. The unconventional roundup involved custom-built rafts with corrals and ramps. Professional boaters, cowboys, and horses were hired to gather the burros. They were gathered up along a 40-mile stretch of the canyon and dropped off at Diamond Creek Ranch, where they were transported by truck to Black Beauty Ranch in Texas, and put up for adoption. Helicopters picked up rafts and boaters at Diamond Ranch and transported them back upriver 40 miles for another run.
From the Journal in Dolores, the Nature Center at Butler Corner north of Dolores is constructing a visitor center and is planning a grand opening for this spring. The $75,000 center will feature classroom space as well as equipment, including binoculars, plant and animal guides, and other literature, microscopes, magnifying glasses, and snowshoes to help teachers engage their students in outdoor learning. Retired Dolores librarian and educator Kathy Butler started the Nature Center in 2016 on her family ranch, and it's gaining steam. The new visitor center will be really nice, she said. There's a half-circle outdoor patio where the students gather upon arrival. Inside is a large meeting room with aspen wallwood paneling and a small kitchenette. The most exciting part for me is the library, she said. The 263-acre Nature Center off County Road 31 borders San Juan National Forest land. It has a network of trails that are already being used as an outdoor classroom for teaching youths and adults about ecosystems and land stewardship. At this time, we have more than 6 miles of trails with 98 bluebird houses. We're hoping to add bird houses for different species as well as plant bird-friendly shrubs. We hope to add butterfly plants as well, Butler said. Along the trails, there are several benches and picnic tables in the park for visitors to enjoy. Plans are to open a modest old-fashioned schoolhouse, an observatory, and a story trail intended to bring picture books alive for children as they explore nature. The Nature Center has launched a corporate sponsorship campaign asking local businesses to support the center and help fund the new visitor center. The center is a 501c3 nonprofit under the umbrella of the San Juan Resource Conservation and Development Council and is funded by donations, grants, and loans. The Nature Center fits perfectly with our mission of conservation and economic development, said Pam Dollar, manager for the San Juan Resource and Development. Kathy brings people into the area and teaches the community about the values of the outdoors. The Nature Center at Butler Corner north of Dolores will be preserved thanks to a recently completed conservation easement with the Montezuma Land Conservancy with support from Great Outdoors Colorado. For more information on the Nature Center or how to donate, call 970-882-4593 or go to the center's website at the www.thenaturecenter@butlercorner.org.
According to the Durango Herald, U.S. regulators have approved a new, more effective vaccine to prevent painful shingles, which is caused by the chickenpox virus. Drug maker GlaxoSmithKline said the Food and Drug Administration approved it late Friday. It will be the second shingles vaccine in the U.S. market. Merck launched the first one in 2006. Studies paid for by Glaxo found it prevents shingles in about 90% of people. Merck's is about 50% effective. Both versions are for adults 50 and older. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, though, recommends vaccination for those 60 or older, partly because it loses effectiveness over time. Anyone who's had chickenpox, nearly everyone over 40, harbors the varicella zoster virus that causes the disease. The virus can resurface decades later, triggering painful sores on one side of the body. About 10 to 20% of those who get shingles also develop debilitating nerve pain that can last for months, even years. About 1/3 of people who have had chickenpox get shingles. That's about 1 million Americans a year. But once someone has recovered from shingles, it rarely reoccurs. Chickenpox was a very common childhood illness until a Merck vaccine was introduced 2 decades ago. It's now part of routine childhood shots.
From the Durango Herald, in Durango, where do you go out to dinner when someone in your party wants pizza, another craves a burger, and someone else is a vegetarian? Pleasing everyone's palate is never an easy task. As a reflection of the entrepreneurial chefs parked at Durango's new food truck scene on the corner of 11th Street and Main Avenue, menu options range from gourmet sliders to chicken curry to homemade soups to Japanese steamed buns to wood-fired pizza. Yes, making me hungry already. Add a full bar with craft cocktails, indoor and outdoor communal seating, fire pits, occasional live music, and a coffee bar, and you've got the new 11th Street Station, now serving Durango with options from Manny's Fresh Company and Asian Fusion with Global Twist, Smoking on Wheels, barbecue comfort food, Backcountry Gourmet, sliders, fries, and salads, Mariana's Authentic Cuisine with fresh homemade Asian takeout, The Box, the wood-fired pizza and gourmet snacks, and Taste Coffee, roaster-driven single origin coffee. 11th Street Station co-owner Marcus Weisner said, "We are refining the food truck experience. We are affordable, quick, eclectic, unique, and delicious." Open 7 days a week, Taste Coffee will be the first to open at 6 a.m., serving specialty coffee until 3 p.m. Ernie's Bar will open at 11 a.m. and pour drinks until late night. The hours of the food truck vendors vary, but will cater to the lunch, dinner, and late-night crowds. The customer experience at the 11th Street Station can range from picking up takeout to multi-course meals. Designed as a hybrid counter-waitress self-service operation, customers are free to order food at individual trucks, drink at the bar, find their seats, and kick back while they enjoy their selections. Staff members will be available for assisting in drink orders, running food, and bussing tables. The venue style is a nod to the location's storied heritage, mirroring various gas and food stations that called the same address home from the early 1920s to the 1970s. One of the longest-running businesses at this location was a Conoco station, owned and operated by Ernie Schaaf for 48 years. As a tribute, the 11th Street Station's bar is named Ernie's, featuring a 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air built into the back bar. In 1988, Jamie Weisner purchased the corner to house a travel business he operated until 2005, followed by more than a decade of renting the location before co-conspiring on the 11th Street Station concept with his son, Marcus. Marcus, an accomplished chef and fifth-generation Durango local, is looking forward to not only offering his hometown something new and exciting, but also providing a platform for aspiring entrepreneurs and chefs to pursue their own restaurant endeavors without the overwhelming burdens of starting a business of their own. This is such a great spot, or on their own. This is such a great spot for building community, friendships, and partnerships, said Taste Coffee's Ronnie Hart. Just the fact that they are helping me and I'm helping them gives us such a unique opportunity to grow together. As eclectic as the menu options, each food truck has its own story on how it ended up finding its parking space at the 11th Street Station. Because of the nature of the smaller scale kitchens and businesses, each food truck vendor has the ability to change their menus often to offer seasonal ingredients and adjust to special customer requests. Many vendors express the desire to source as many local ingredients as possible, from veggies to meats, and even at the bar from local craft beers to kombucha. Collectively, we are an awesome team, says Ernie's bar manager Bridget Tesmer. We have a menu reflective of the passion this corner puts off. I can't wait to check out that. It sounds like a great opportunity that perhaps can be replicated in other communities as well.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of October 16th through the 22nd. A suspicious vehicle was reported on Highway 141 in Egner. The vehicle was reported to have been driving very slowly back and forth. An officer made contact with the vehicle, and the driver stated they were looking for a particular piece of vacant property and were having a difficult time finding it in the dark. San Miguel was notified of the situation and the information of the motorists. A single-car, non-injury vehicle versus deer accident was reported on Highway 141. An officer responded and took a report. Colorado State Patrol was notified, and they authorized a counter-report for the driver. A car versus deer accident on Highway 141 resulted in no injury to the driver or passengers. Colorado State Patrol was notified of the accident. A set of keys were found. If you are missing any keys, please call the sheriff's office to identify. A county resident requested information related to Adult Protective Services. The individual was referred to the county in which the individual lived. A deputy assisted a town resident with medical equipment. A county resident reported an injured deer in their field. A deputy responded and CPW was notified. A wallet was found on Road H.6 and turned in to the sheriff's office. That concludes this week's roundup. Stay tuned for continued updates next week.
Today's High Canyon Country happenings. October 27th through the 29th, for those crazy fanatics that want to do the time warp again, the Rocky Horror Picture Show will be presented by the Strater Hotel at the theater, live on stage, with the opening show for ages 18 and above, and later shows are for ages 21 and older. Sounds freaky. Times are at 7 or 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 8 p.m. one time on Sunday. Frankenfurter says the show sells out, so get your tickets by a link on their Facebook page, Henry Strater Theater. For those not in bicycling shape, here's another scary option for October 29th. Ride from Durango to Farmington with the Chip Peddler out of Durango. Yes, Sunday at 8:15 a.m. from Santa Rita Park. They'll leave finishing around 7 p.m. It'll be quite a ride. For more info, visit IDGO's Pedal Durango, also linked up at Facebook. October 28th, up in Olathe, their volunteer firefighters invite you to their 15th annual Pumpkin Chuckin' Festival and Haunted Corn Maze. Saturday from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. at DeVry's Produce. Bring the whole family for a fun day, including tractor pulls, archery, bounce house, and more. Pumpkin Chuckin' longest distance is at 11:30, most accurate is at 12:30, and the helicopter pumpkin drop is at 1 p.m. The maze is open from 6 to 10 p.m. For more info, call them at 323-6559. All of these happenings are posted on our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with the YouTube replays, weather, and original stories and local posts. To share your event or information, contact us. It's dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station 677-411-9, and we'll be sure to get your news on air.
Thanks for tuning in. News at Noon airs at noon, Monday through Wednesday, and then rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m., and again re-aired Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the same order at noon, 3, and 6.
And be sure to check us out on Facebook. It's DCTV News at Noon. Please like us there and share it with a friend.
For Kendra Cook and everyone at DCTV with the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. Thanks for watching.